So in this video, we're going to learn how to create a table. We have seen the create table command when we were looking at the SQL file, and when we were looking at different, like how the columns and the data types are listed. So basically the syntax to create a table is you say create table, and it can be uppercase or lowercase like we mentioned before, and then you think of a unique name for your table. So your table name, your entity name or your entity type, or your relation has to be a unique name. And then you think of all your column names, and every column name has to be unique within that table, and then the data type. And you separate them with commas, and all the columns are between those parentheses, and you put a semicolon. So for example, if I wanted to store a table of all the toys that I have, that my daughter has, I can say create table, let's call it toys, and I like putting my parentheses and semicolon at the end immediately. And then I like tabbing in my column names. So every toy has a unique ID, so I'm going to give it an ID, toy ID, and that's just going to be an int, and I'm going to have a toy name. I'm going to give it a name, which is a varchar, and let's have it 30 characters, so that's a string, a bunch of characters. And I'm going to give it a price, how much I bought it for, and that's going to be a number, let's say 4 digits, so nothing is more than $99.99, and maybe purchase place, which is also a varchar, and let's make that one longer, and maybe purchase date. That is a date. So here I created a table that is storing a bunch of attributes. Each one is unique and it has a type. Oops, and this should be a comma. Okay. So here is an example of creating a table. Now, all I do is run this command and it will create the table for me. If I have any syntax error, it will tell me. If I try to create this table again, it will complain. It will not let me. So here I get an error that the name is already used by an existing object. So name is already used by an existing object. So I get an error. So when you create a table, you can only create one table with that name. Okay, so this is the first thing, how to create a table. The next thing is if you have a table that already exists in your database and you want to create another table that's kind of similar to it. So what you can do is create table, you give it a new name, and then you say as, and you're going to select the columns from an existing table, and you can even say where and other things. I'm going to skip this one for now because we're going to be, well, actually, let me just show you an example. We're going to be using it more later, but here what I can do is I can create table, let's say old toys, and I want it to be as toys, and here what I want to select is I only want to select the columns that I want to show up in my new table. So I'm going to say select, let's say I only want the toy ID, the toy name, and the price. Okay, and I want to get it from the toys table. So where we're going to see that part later. Okay, so what this is going to do is create another table that has the same as, did I miss something? Oh, sorry. Here as, and then you just say select. So the table name doesn't come here, it comes at the end. So my mistake. So here I'm saying create a table called old toys that's the same as selecting these 3 columns from the toys table. And so now let's run that command. And now I have old toys created. So if I try, if I say select star from toys, I don't have anything in my tables. We'll learn how to insert later. But if I say show me the columns in toys, we see that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has those 5 columns. But if I say old toys, you will see that it only has 3 columns. So it kind of made a copy of that table with only 3 columns there instead of all of them. Now, here I didn't have to mention the type of data. So the type of data kind of just got copied automatically. Let's also look at the actual tables here in the system. So let's do a refresh of that. And let's go and find the toys table and the old toys table. So this is toys. And here it's showing me all the columns. And because I didn't identify anything as a primary key, nothing has been made as a primary key. Actually, let's postpone what I was just going to show you to a next video when we talk more about primary keys. The next thing I want to show you is dropping a table. So if you have a table that you are no longer needing, you can remove it using the drop table command. So you just say drop table and you give it the name. So if I go back and I no longer need these 2 tables, I can say drop table toys, and it'll delete the toys table for me. And I see that it's dropped, and I can also say drop table old toys. And that will drop that table for me. So for today, the classwork that I want you to do is to create an SQL statement that will write the SQL code that can be used to create a table of customers. I want the table of customers to store those 4 pieces of information. So you're going to have to come up with the attribute names, the column names, and the type of data that is appropriate. And then I want you to review, this is also creating a table. I also want you to create another table that holds credit card information, and these are the 4 pieces of information that it should store. And then I want you to write the 2 commands to drop these 2 tables. So basically I have a create table command, another create table command, and 2 drop table commands. Run those 4 statements in SQL Developer and send me your code along with a screenshot of your output that they have been run successfully. What you can do is, so here let me just show you. I will drop toys and also drop table old toys. So let's just make sure everything is dropped. Everything is dropped. Here there is this little eraser which clears everything for you. Okay, so this will erase everything that's here. And then basically what I want to do is I don't need this command, so let's remove that command. But let's say those 4 commands up here are my classwork. Okay? So let's say these were my classwork. So I can highlight all of them together and then just run the query. Run the commands. And so here it shows me that it's created, that one was created, this one's dropped, and this one's dropped. So if you send me a screenshot of that along with your SQL code, that'll be enough for this classwork assignment.